Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to one and all, wherever you are today. And I hope that you and your loved ones are healthy and happy. And many thanks to Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution for the opportunity of addressing you all. As you may know, I come from Fiji, and as such, my earliest memories revolve around the ocean, alongside it and on it and in it. And when I think of those times today, I remember the hardships of storms at sea, of seasickness in incessant ocean swells, or being caught in currents and undertows when swimming, or being stung by jellyfish and cut by coral. But then I remember the eternal beauty of seascapes, and the wonder of arrival at islands by sea, and the great joy of diving in coral canyons teeming with life, or paddling homemade tin boats through the mangroves and out into the lagoon, feasting on succulent seafood, and breathing in the cleanest of air possible, propelled by southeast trade winds across thousands of open miles of the South Pacific Ocean. You know, it wasn't until well into my life that I heard the expression coral bleaching and witnessed its decimation when diving. The only desolation I can compare that to is the pictures I've seen of cities turned to lifeless rubble by incendiary bombs. As a youth, the only flotsam and jetsam to be found on our beaches were organic: shells, timber, seaweed, and if you were lucky, a nautilus shell or the occasional glass fishing float netted in ragged rope. Of course, those were the days before plastic, and I can clearly recall plastic's entry on the scene and its increasing evidence along the tide lines. What a plague upon nature plastic has proved to be. These days, when I think of the ocean, I think of the respect it deserves as the governor of our planet and the ultimate source of life. Ladies and gentlemen, in my role as the UN Secretary General's Special Envoy for the Ocean, I'm charged with leading the global drive for the implementation of the UN's 14th Sustainable Development Goal, known to most as SDG 14, or the Ocean's Goal. SDG 14 sets out to conserve and sustainably use the ocean's resources, and I'm sure you're all familiar with its 10 specific targets. In the course of this work, it's become increasingly obvious that ocean science must be the foundation upon which the achievement of SDG 14 is built. It's estimated that science knows only 10% of the ocean's makeup: its biome, its seafloor, its deep-sea creatures, its microorganisms, and phytoplankton types. This is an astounding situation when you consider that the ocean contains the majority of life on this planet and that it covers 70% of the planet's surface, providing somewhere between 50 and 80% of the planet's oxygen. We have some very important decisions to make in the short to medium term about humankind's relationship with nature. And if these decisions are to be fully informed before they're made, they'll have to be based on good science. One of the key lessons of the COVID pandemic has been that our governance policies must be firmly rooted in reliable science. These considerations led to the member states of the United Nations embedding science into the theme of the next UN Ocean Conference to be held in support of SDG 14's implementation. It also led them to mandate the UN Decade of Ocean Science, known as the Ocean Decade, running from 2020 to 2030. This is the decade in which ocean science will catch up on the 90% of the ocean's unknown. In short, the Ocean Decade will give us the science we need for the ocean we want. To enable the Ocean Decade to deliver on its high purpose, inclusivity and partnership are being built into its DNA, and communities around the world are being connected. Communities come in many forms: nations big and small, regional groupings, academia, business consortiums, indigenous peoples, coastal dwellers, NGOs, the list goes on. All have a place in our discovery of the complete scientific picture of the ocean, for we are all connected. In conclusion, allow me to tell you that I have a mantra that runs: science leads to planning, leads to finance. To explain, in order to carry out the SDG 14 work that coastal communities require for their future security, like developing resilient coastal infrastructure or maintaining marine protected areas or installing offshore wind farms or investing in sustainable aquaculture, finance is required. But before providers of finance part with their funds, Just as is the case on land, they want to see evidence of sound planning. For marine plans to be bankable, sustainable, and credible, they must be based on peer-reviewed ocean science. Thus, science leads to planning, leads to finance. I wish you stimulating discussions during the course of today's event, and I thank you for your attention.